Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Pod of Aggieland. Starring your host, yours truly, Chase Lane, number 2 in the field, number 1 in y'all's hearts. I had a great weekend down in Tuscaloosa, despite coming out with the loss. But as always, we'll get to that later. But I would like to start the show off with another quote of the day. So, the quote of the day for today's episode is: "Perseverance is the hard work you do after you get tired of doing the hard work you already did." So I'm saying it again. Perseverance is the hard work you do after you get tired of doing the hard work you already did. So, what this quote means to me and what resonated most with me within this quote is everyone is going to work hard, whether you're competing athletically, academically, in your specific career field. But what is it that you're going to do? What's going to separate you from the rest of your competition? So, athletically, I think of a lot of the greats like LeBron James, Serena Williams, the Tom Brady's of the world, all the sports figures that you've seen that have had success when faced with trials and tribulations throughout their career. They have been able to do what they've needed to do in order to separate themselves. So, yeah, perseverance, I feel like it goes hand in hand with consistency, and consistency is such a hard thing to develop as a habit with whatever you're doing, and because life is just such a roller coaster, and um, you never really know what's going to get thrown at you. So the people who can make it out and can see the most success are the people who can maintain that level of consistency and can persevere through adversities and can just stay even keeled through everything. So that's how the great ones think, and then that's how you become successful. So I'll say it again: the quote of the day: "Perseverance is the hard work you do after you get tired of doing the hard work you already did." So let that marinate on y'all souls this happy Monday. Adding on to what the quote meant and how it resonated with me, I like to think about what I went through when I was trying to finish up my bachelor's degree. The final 15 hours for me were a living hell. I To start the spring semester, I was only passing one class. My four other classes, they were all Fs, and they were like bad Fs. So, um, really, spring break, I really had to look myself in the mirror, and I was like, "Look, I've done so much hard work to get to this point. Like, I already had my Aggie ring. I had made a goal back like the year prior that I was going to graduate early in 3 years, and I was going to finish my bachelor's degree by the summer. So, I was not things were not looking bright for me, and just dealing with a bunch of personal things at that time. And yeah, I put myself behind the eight ball really bad, and I had to find a way to finish. So I've like I said, I've done all that hard work to get to this point, but now it's what's going to separate me, what's going to allow me to finish my goal. What are the habits I'm going to tap into to allow me to see the light at the end of the tunnel? So I dug deep, man, and I was able to pull those four Fs all the way up to C's. They say C's get degrees. And yeah, I was able to get my degree, man, and I was able to finish. So um, it's not necessarily about, and I know we always say this, but it's not necessarily about how you start, but it's more so important about how you finish. So I was able to finish up, and I was able to persevere, excuse me, through that tough time. But yeah, let's keep moving forward, man. To start the show, it today, well, this episode will come up Monday. Today is my mother's birthday, 10/10/1971. I'll let y'all do the math on her age, but she is aging beautifully. Happy birthday to my beautiful mother. You mean the world to me, and you are one of the closest people I'm close to. So, yeah, I think it's so important to just have a special relationship with your parents if you're blessed enough to still have your parents in your life. Um, I can sit here and talk about my parents for hours on end, but simply put, man, I'm just really blessed to having a loving mother and having a loving father, and having them just be present in my life, and just being really blessed to have them. So happy birthday to my mom. Looking forward to you hearing this little birthday shout out. So happy birthday to you, and I love you very much. Now, moving forward, we have a bye week coming up. Bye weeks are really fun for me because I think it just allows everybody to, just recharge, take a deep breath, uh, just take a minute to just rest your bodies. But at the same time, we're going at it in practice. But I'm a fan of bye weeks. So usually for us, when we have a bye week, today we didn't have anything today. Well, all we had was treatment. We didn't have to go in for anything like meetings or anything. Sunday. So Monday, we have the complete day off. And actually, this is our first fall break I think A&M's ever had. And I didn't even know what a fall break was. So we got like 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, out of the week, no school. So tomorrow there's no class responsibilities, no anything, and there's no football responsibilities. So have a free day tomorrow, and then we'll come back in on Tuesday. We'll lift. We'll have a normal practice schedule, like a Tuesday practice. We'll do the same thing Wednesday, and then on Thursday we just have meetings, and then we're out the door. So we'll be free from Thursday all the way to Sunday, and usually we'll have like a report time Sunday evening. But I love bye weeks because it allows a lot of people to just go home and see family, and I think I take this for granted because I am a Houston guy and I do have my family so close to me and I can really go home whenever I want, even like during the week. But these guys from like out of states, like we have a bunch of guys from Florida and we got some guys from Illinois, and we got some guys from Jersey and out and back east, and we even got some kids from Arizona, and it's so important, especially the young guys. It's the first semester, first year in college, just being away from home really for the first time. It can really take a toll on you mentally. And I know after the game, Yul Keith and Amari, they were just, even though we lost, they were just really excited about just having an opportunity to just go back home to Miami. And some of those guys haven't been back home since June, July, and I'm just like, dang, like I was in Houston, like just the other month, like just the other week or something like that. So yeah, it's really cool for the young guys and just the guys who are out of state, just can have that time, go back home. And they, it's kind of cool when we do come back from bye weekends. A bunch of out of state guys, you can just kind of feel like a liveliness about them because they've been able to go back home and spend some time with family. So, yeah, man, it's really fun. I know a lot of guys enjoy bye weeks, but even though it's a bye, we still got to get to work this week during practice because we are 3-3 at the end of the day. And like Coach Fisher said in his post game presser, we are not fans of moral victories. And even though we do feel like we competed in that game and we were in the position to win that game, we didn't come out with the W. So it's back to the drawing boards and it's back to work. So I would like to talk about the reality and the cutthroat truth behind media. So if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then just hold on and listen. So being new in just growing in this new field that I've been introduced to, and having a podcast, I've been introduced to media, and even though I'm an athlete, I now get to see the sides of reporters and in journalism and just in broadcasting and things like that, things that I'm really interested in. But one thing I didn't necessarily realize was just how cutthroat and how immediate and just savage this space is. In by this space I mean media. And through my experience with this, I've been able to gain some new listeners. I had a peek on one of my episodes. I'm not going to tell you guys which one, but if you're listening, you know what I'm talking about. And if you're an avid listener of the show, then you know what I'm talking about. But really, just because I've been an athlete and I've seen why. Like I've watched interviews of like different professional athletes at their media days, and just watching just post game pressers from like the NBA Finals and the Super Bowl and the college football playoff and things of that nature. But I'd never really understood why like athletes have had problems with like reporters and people like journalists and things like that, like answering questions and things like that, because you don't know until you know. So like I said, I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But what I've learned is in media, it doesn't necessarily matter who's right, but it matters who's first. And that's a concept that I've heard so many times, but has just gone over my head because I've never really been introduced to this space before. Like I've done interviews and I've done media days, but it's kind of been more so like in a sheltered environment because it's been administered by Texas A&M Athletics and things like that. But now being on my own away from Texas A&M Athletics and kind of navigating through this space without like an administrator above me, I've seen how cutthroat and how savage it can be. And, I guess it comes with it. I'm not sitting here going on strike about, we got to do this, we got to do this. But, I put myself in it. I want to be in this space, so I got to deal with the realities of it. But I just want to say, just for any reporters out there, for anybody who may be tuning into the show, I understand that you guys have a job to do. And I understand that certain things that could maybe spark a clickbait and things like that. I understand that you guys have to do what you have to do, but at the end of the day, I just urge each reporter, each journalist, anybody to just really strive to report the facts, because in trying to report just like what you hear and just trying to be the first one to get it out, so many things can be misconstrued. The message can get misconstrued. It can turn into a bunch of he say she say things and things like that. So I'm not sitting here telling you guys how to do your job because I don't expect you guys to tell me how to run a route. But I just say from my point of view, I just urge everybody out there to just report the facts and to keep it moving. But hey, who am I? I'm just a student athlete with a degree. So moving forward, I'm going to talk about our battle with the Alabama Crimson Tide down in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So as always, we left Thursday evening after practice. We arrived down in Tuscaloosa, like 11:30, something like that. Chilly night in Tuscaloosa. Actually, excuse me, we stayed in Birmingham. So we stayed actually an hour away from Tuscaloosa, and Birmingham is so beautiful. Bunch of hills and, just nice. It's a nice ambiance about Birmingham, and it's a nice feel to it. So enjoy staying out there. We went through our normal Friday routines with meetings and walkthroughs, and that went on into the night. I actually had some free time. We got out of our last meeting at like 7:00. So my dad actually had drove down from Illinois, and we went to dinner that night, and we were just driving around Birmingham. So good to just spend some one-on-one time with him before we had our game on Saturday. But moving on to Saturday, getting into the game, we were actually pretty evenly matched up. Haynes, we had a backup quarterback in. They had a backup quarterback in. So I feel like it really just came down to the importance of execution and who's gonna execute more than the other team. And first quarter, 0-0 at the end of the first. Our both defenses were, just causing 3 and outs, and they played good. I feel like they were moving the ball more so in the run game, and Jahmyr Gibbs and Jalen Milroe, they were phenomenal with their legs, and they were able to make plays with them. They were able to convert a lot on third downs, third and longs, man. Just because we dropped 8, so a lot of those rushing lanes clear up after a while once everybody's getting out of there. So they were able to make plays with their legs, and later on, their receivers were able to make plays. Us, on the other hand, I feel like we had a great game plan coming into the game. Moose Muhammad, he played really well early, Evan, he was making plays throughout the night. Chris was making plays throughout the night. I want to commend Haynes on just how poised and how confident he was in himself to come out in the game and just compete, because he's dealt with so much this negativity from social media and things like that. So he was able to come out and compete, wasn't routed at all. It was a good game going early. So I knew it was going to be a long one when it was 0-0 after the first quarter. So eventually somebody had to get on the board. Bama went up 7-0. A few drives later, our defense was able to force a fumble. We get the ball in their territory, so we knew it was time for us to put some points on the board. We had a nice little play call to get Moose in the end zone. It was a 3-by-1 set, 3 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. We were in empty personnel. We had a corner on the outside to hold the corner. The corner playing us. We had a corner on the outside to hold the corner. The slot guy, the second guy, had a post to drain the nickel. And then Moose was kind of left with an option route so he can turn in or out based off how the backer's playing him. And the backer is playing him inside leverage hard, so Moose is able to just turn out, just box him out and catch an easy touchdown. So great play call by Coach. Get us in the end zone. Kind of got our confidence going. And, at that point, guys were just like, hey, like they bleed how we bleed. Like they're the same guys. Like that Alabama on their chest doesn't change anything about them besides their name. So I feel like at that point everybody was confident and we were really just ready to go to war, man. We typically play really good against Alabama as of recently, and we feel like we match up well against them. So we were able to just keep competing throughout the game. But then eventually Jalen Milroe got Jermaine Burton for a touchdown. They went up 14-7, but then we were able to come down the field. And on this play, man, I thought I was about to score. The one Donovan Green scored on. So we were in green personnel, so a 1 receiver set, 2 tight ends. And I had to cut my split down like I was about to go push crack to safety. So on my route, I had to sell push crack, but then I actually end up on the boot. Haynes is rolling out to the right. The guy who's playing me, man, I have him beat by like 6 yards. And I might be wrong, but I swear to God, Haynes dead looked me in my eye. So I'm like, I'm about to catch my first touchdown of the season. Like, and it's going to be against Bama, the number 1 team on their turf. Like, I'm about to be lit. But then, ball doesn't come to me. Haynes turns his shoulders and just throws this ball. And as the ball is in the air, I'm just watching him like, if this motherfucker don't catch this ball. And then Donovan caught it. And I didn't know who was running the route. I didn't know if it was Max or if it was Donovan. But I saw it was Donovan, and I was like, got his first touchdown. Let me be happy. So I was happy for him. More so, I was happy for the team because we were able to tie up the game 14-14. And just when you're in a game like that and you're trading scores back and forth, it feels like to me it just feels like a Rocky movie. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if you guys are into Rocky movies, but I'm a big fan of Rocky movies, and just thinking back to Rocky 2 when Apollo Creed and when Rocky Balboa were just going back and forth, just trading punches, and Rocky was just barely beat Apollo because he was able to stand up at the last second. It just felt like an old Rocky film. So I knew it was going to be a great game and a great atmosphere for both teams. And then when you had the fans in the game as well, and we always travel well, and we were very well heard in Bryant-Denny Stadium Saturday night. So just being in the atmosphere was incredible. But yeah, Haynes came back, got pressure. I think he tried to force the ball to Evan. Terrian, number 3, their corner, was able to make a nice play on the ball, interception. Our defense, they were able to get a stop though, and we left the half with 3 points. So we felt pretty good going into halftime. Guys' heads were in the right place. Actually, the locker room was actually pretty like lit. Like people were like yeah, like who are they? Like, man, we can play with them. Like, we don't blah 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 blah. So people were really encouraged. People's heads were definitely in the right place to go out there and to compete again. And we thought we were going to walk out of there with a dub because our feeling was like, hey, like this is the number one team right here, and we're supposedly so bad. Like, we're 3-2. We're this trash team that can't play with them, and like we're only down by 3 points, and we haven't even played our best like football yet. So like, let's go beat them. So that was the thought process at halftime. Guys are really just eager to go back out there, man, and we were just like, man, like, who cares? Let's go. Like, we don't have anything to lose. And like I said in my last episode, and this actually got misconstrued. I saw somebody replied to me on Twitter and said, like, at Chase Lane or at Potter Agland or something. Basically, they were saying that in my last episode, I was saying that the only reason we have to play for now is just to spoil other teams' seasons. I mean, other teams' seasons. And no, correction, that's not what I was saying. Yes, we do have the opportunity to spoil a lot of teams' seasons, but that's not the only reason why we're playing. So we do have a lot more to play for. So I apologize that got misconstrued. But we were trying to spoil Alabama's season last night and Saturday, and we felt like we were highly capable of doing so at halftime. And that was the message. It was just, Coach Fisher, his old school self. He was like, just go piss in their cornflakes. So that's what Coach Fisher was talking about. And, we were really excited about that, to go out there and compete in the third quarter. But, we came out in the third quarter. We didn't execute how we needed to on that first drive. If Denver Harris had caught that pick, man, that would have been so big for us. It just went right through his hands. But it happens. But he turns around, he gets a 15-yard penalty. It kind of sets them up to score. They scored on a little kind of similar to we have. It's like a trio bunch set, like a tray set. 3 receivers to wide. And Kyle, I went back and watched like the highlights of it, so they played it. So they kind of had like the point guy and the innermost guy pushed vertical and ran in routes, and the third guy, like close to the sideline, he just ran like an underneath drag, and we were in man coverage, so Deuce Harmon had to navigate through all that and then try to play the guy. And, Brooks, he's a fast guy, so if you don't have an angle on him from the get go, it's kind of hard to get him down. So they called a good play call on us. They were able to go up 24-14. When we went down 10, excuse me, we went down 10. I don't think there were any nerves. Like, nobody was really like in a panic mode at any point in the game, probably until the last play call. But yeah, like, even though we went down 10, we still felt confident that we were gonna win. Just some way, somehow, we were going to pull it out because our defense had been playing good for the most part. And for us, really, they hadn't really stopped us. Like I always say, like, the majority of our shortcomings on offense have just been self-inflicted wounds. And, like, we had one red zone trip, and we had those 2 false starts back-to-back, man. And instead of scoring a touchdown, we walk out of 3 points. And then on the other end, Moose had dropped one across the middle. It happens, but we walked out of that one with 3 points. So just imagine if we were able to capitalize on both those red zone trips. I don't feel like they were able to really stop us in the red zone, except for that last play call. But just think, if we had 14 points there, I might be sitting here telling y'all a different story. So, that it happens. But moving on. We came back and we hit a field goal, like I said, and the score was 24-17. And they missed like 2 crucial field goals. And when they missed them, it was like, dang, like, they are giving us this game. Like, they had fumbles, they had missed field goals, they were just tripping. I'm just like, bro, they're giving us this game. We have to capitalize or we're gonna run out of time. And we were not able to capitalize to the fullest. And it eventually led to our demise. So just thinking about that on the bus ride home was just kind of made me angry, because I was like, man, like they were literally like trying to give us a game, like missing field goals, turning the ball over in terrible territories for them, like giving us great field position, like bad punts on their end. They didn't shank any, but like they weren't getting any deep kicks on their punts. So we had tremendous field field position the entire game, I think, except for like 2 drives, and that was early on. So yeah, so end of the third quarter, before we go into the fourth quarter, we got the ball back with like 36 seconds. Play call. It was a 3-receiver set again. It was Evan, Chris, and myself out wide. They had 2 posts, and what we were trying to do, we were trying to drain everybody to have me on the dig and just come right through the seam of the zone. And I was running my route, and I was watching Evan and Chris while I was in the middle of my route, and I broke it down. And I already knew I was getting the ball before I even came out of my break. So Haynes was able to find me, picked up a little first down. I was able to hit a little wipe my nose thing like CeeDee Lamb, and I came back to the sideline, and everybody was just congratulating me and just doing all this like the wipe the nose thing I always do. And even though it wasn't like a touchdown reception or anything like that, it was still the first down reception, a nice catch and run, put us in great field position going into the fourth quarter. And it just meant so much to me to just like finally like just catch a ball, man. Because like I said in last week's episode, how this season hasn't necessarily gone the way I've wanted it to go. And, just feeling like you contributed in some way against the number 1 team on the road. You can hear the crowd like roaring, like when you catch the ball. It felt a lot. It meant a lot to me. So it wasn't anything crazy, but like I always say, I like to celebrate the small things. So it meant a lot, and just feeling like I contributed in some way to helping us win. So moving on to the fourth quarter, we're just going back and forth. It's getting hectic. You can really start to feel it's crunch time. The fans are letting you know it's crunch time. Their fans, our fans, the coaches are getting wild on the sideline. It's just the emotions are really riled up at this point within everybody. So we get down to the final drive, and we are so great at 2 minutes, I feel like, because every Thursday practice, we always end with 2 minutes. And I don't know if any other schools, I assume other schools do this, but Coach Fisher puts a lot of attention on 2 minute and 4 minute in, the situational offense. And so when we were put in a position where we had to go execute 2 minute, nobody was really nervous because, we do this weekly in practice, excuse me. So as you saw, we were able to march down the field with the help of some penalties. Start with a humongous third down conversion, big play from Evan Stewart, man. That's what he does. That's why he's a 5-star. He literally picked it out of number 3's hands and went up and grabbed it. And, that was just a monster play from him. And he made big plays for us the whole night. So really, really proud of him and how he performed on the road in his first really big game against Alabama. So Bama gave us some defensive holding calls. They gave us a PI. I think they gave us 1 defensive holding and 2 PIs, if I'm not mistaken. And we were able to gain some yardage off of that one. And we were in great position to take the game because, like I said, it just felt like they were just giving us opportunities. And I was saying at some point we had to capitalize, or if it was going to be too late. And a few plays later, Haynes is picked up. He's picked off by Jordan Battle, but the PI is called back. The final play call, it was the same play that Moose scored on. And I actually advise everybody to go watch Coach Saban's game breakdown of the final play because I didn't even know he did that. And I think it's pretty cool hearing it from his perspective. But what they did was, he said at first they played everybody to the flats, but this time they shifted everybody's leverage essentially and made everybody have inside leverage. So they made everybody have inside leverage, but the backer that was on Moose, he played outside leverage. So basically, Moose had no option but to go in. But once he goes in, those linebackers are sitting there waiting for him, right? And since Haynes is able to make plays with his legs, one of their linebackers was a rat. And so basically, he's just back there mirroring the quarterback, right? And so if Haynes breaks out left and tries to roll it, he's there. So he's like a spy, essentially. And then the corner that was on Evan played hard outside leverage because he had all those help. He had help inside from the wheelbacker, and basically, like, if Evan had ran a slant or in cutting route, he was going to run right into the backer. So that play was dead. And then so number 3, he used the sideline to his advantage because you're in that tight space. And there's only so many routes you can run when you're outside releasing in the tight zone. You can run a fade, a pylon, in which Evan was running. Those are really the only 2 routes you can run in that tight space if you're going to outside release. So the corner used the sideline to his leverage and kind of just squeeze Evan as he was coming off the ball. And, pylons are so hard to execute, especially in that space because it's a timing route. So Haynes has to get back in his drop, and Evan has to get to a certain depth in the end zone. And I don't know if Evan got there too early or Haynes threw it too late. So you can't really say, Haynes didn't throw the ball into the end zone, because then you could say Evan was too early. But then you could be like, Haynes has to hit Evan now. But so it's a lot of different things that people could say about the final play, but you don't really understand it unless you understand football. So, and if you even go and see a bunch of players, like former players of Coach Fisher who played for him, like Kellen Mond, he said he responded to somebody's tweet saying somebody has said it's a bad play call, but Kellen was like, no, it's not. We actually scored on this play in crunch time against Kentucky back in 2018, and so excuse me, somebody mentioned Chase was open at the bottom of the screen on a fade. Yes, I was open, but in a situation like that, you don't want to throw that long of a pass across the field, because when you have a one-on-one situation backside and it's a shorter throw. So, like I said, if you understand football, then you understand the play call. But if you're just a spectator and a fan of college football and you have no background or serious background of football and just the science behind it, then you're not going to understand the play call. But we live with that. We die with that. I think, like I said, I think the play call was fine, but we just didn't execute it, and Alabama won it. So, like I said, I feel like Alabama escaped with a victory against Texas and victory against us. So, I guess they're the Texas State champions this year from the state of Alabama. But yeah, man, it was a heartbreaking loss, because just seeing Haynes just so emotional. I just commend him for just being a warrior, bro, because he came, and I don't think anyone knows this, he came into the locker room after the game and went up to every offensive player, gave everybody a hug, and said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I let y'all down. And I'm just like, this dude, is just a true warrior. He's a football player. You feel me? And you can just tell, it means that much to him. He could have been pouting for being benched, and he's a warrior, and he came to play. I so wish we could have executed better for him to get the W, but man, like I said, just things happen sometimes. But I just commend Haynes, and I just commend everybody on the team for just competing. I think that looking back, even though I'm not a fan of moral victories, looking back, we can see that this team does have some fight in them. And I think bright things are ahead for this program going forward. And really, the message after the game was to just win out. We broke on that. Max Wright broke the team huddle after the game, after we prayed, and he was like, win out on 3. And I think the focus now is look, we just went toe to toe with the so-called best team in the country and damn near beat them. So that says a lot about us and the kind of football we are capable of playing when we execute. So I feel like we're very confident that we can win out the rest of the season. And we're not focused on just the clutter. We're not focused on what they're saying about us on social media. We're not focusing on the rankings. We're just focusing on playing football. And I think once you get into a place where you're just focusing on playing football, you're not just focusing on everything else, then it's just so much better for your team and you'll see success. So I'm really eager to get back to playing. Our next game is in South Carolina in 2 weeks. So really looking forward to that matchup, man, and just winning out. And that's the goal for the rest of the season. And we'll go from there. But this has been another fun episode of the Pot of Aggie Land. Hopefully you guys are continuing to enjoy the show. And to all my new listeners who joined the show after a so-called thing that happened this past week that I'm not going to touch on, I love you guys too. So thank you everybody for tuning in to another episode of the Pot of Aggie Land. This is your host, Chase Lane. I'm out. Peace.